Good evening, everyone. I'm back again. Yes, same day. It is part 45 or maybe 46. My name is Jillian Bartlett. I am the Vice Chair Lady for Grand Bahama under the Coalition of Independence. And as you can tell, it's extremely cold. Um, why am I back? Well, first of all, I have one order of business with regards to my granddaughter, Miss Chiana. She participated in the island sports in Nassau, Bahamas. And believe it or not, she competed under I think it's under 17. Sorry, under 13. I don't want her to grow up that fast. And she won all of her races. Actually, I think one of the commentators said that when she comes to Nassau, they don't know what to expect, so they're always on their edge. So I want to say congratulations to my granddaughter for the wonderful, great job that she did bringing back first place in the under 13 girls track and field event in Nassau. So congratulations, honey. I love you. All right, so I'm back again. I wanted to speak about this topic actually last week. But I don't know why I didn't get to it, but I'm going to get to it today. So what am I here to talk to today? I'm going to get to it. It's not going to be very, very long, okay? As you can tell, I am suffering from severe allergies. Anytime the weather changes, it comes down. But I can breathe. I'll have to sit up tonight if I have to and get moving in the morning as usual. So I wanted to know in more details what the Hawksbill Creek Agreement was really all about. Just like how I want to know what the UN was all about and the global networks were all about. Why were they created? The fact that are they relevant, or whatever they were created for, are they actually doing what they were created for? And I was curious about the Hawksbill Creek Agreement also. So instead of reading a tedious old document on it, I just decided to Google it and make it more palatable to read and also to explain to you. So I've always been a person with a lot of questions, okay? I should have been a reporter and ask the right questions and keep asking questions. I really should have been and probably can still do that. What was the immediate? Now, I'm curious. So when I'm curious, sometimes I feel like sharing it. What is the immediate or the purpose of the Hawksbill Creek Agreement? I want to know what it is, and I did research it. I want to know when was it introduced? These are very important questions because it gives you an idea how long the Hawksbill Creek Agreement was developed. And I'm wondering also, has it diluted? Did it evolve into something different than its intended purpose? We don't know, but we're going to find out, all right? Let's just read a little bit on the Hawksbill Creek Agreement and why it was formed, when it was formed, right? Okay, the Hawksbill Creek Agreement name honor of the Hawksbill sea turtle. I had no idea. Now I do. Sea turtle was an agreement signed in 1955. I wasn't born yet. And many of you who will listen to this later probably wasn't born around that time. It was an agreement signed between the government of the Bahamas and Wallace Grove. Everybody's aware who's Wallace Grove. He was an investor that came to the Bahamas, I think from the United States, and he was very instrumental involved with the development, infrastructure. We had nothing in West End. We had people on the island. We had nothing in Freeport. We had people in Penless Point. We had people in 8 Mile Rock. We had people out east. But, Freeport wasn't developed in 1955. So they came with a plan. And the plan was developed between the government of the Bahamas and Mr. Wallace Grove. Okay? Now we understand who was involved. Now, the next question you should ask yourself, well, why was the Hawksbill Creek Agreement devised? Wouldn't you want to know why? After it was created in 1955 and it is 2025, don't you want to know why? I think you would, right? Well, let's read. It was devised to establish a city and a free trade zone on Grand Bahama. Isn't that wonderful? Here we are now in 2025, just a month in, and I'm reading something that was developed in 1955. It was established for the city and a free trade zone in Grand Bahama Islands, with an aim of spurring an economic development in the area. Spurring an economic development for Grand Bahama. I think a minister in the Bahamas have just arrived in Freeport to spur the economic growth in Freeport, Grand Bahama. But we have a Hawksbill Creek Agreement developed in 1955 to handle all of this. You all put it together, you all figure it out. So back in 1955, it was, the Freeport was undeveloped basically. Now, that was 71 years ago. Okay? Many of you who are listening to this probably wasn't born in 1955. 71 years ago, a Hawksbill Creek was designed to spur economic growth in Freeport. Again, it's 2026, and a minister is in town talking about, I'm going to use the same word they use for this article, back in Freeport to discuss the economic growth of Freeport. Well, I couldn't say this at a better time. I couldn't say it at a better time. I just need a little to breathe. 75 years later, Freeport was initially developed to be a free trade zone. I think an attorney spoke to this and said openly, why isn't the port doing what they were created originally to do, to be a free trade zone? Now, let's not get callous in what I'm about to say. There have been many businesses developed in Freeport. Don't get it wrong. And I could point some of them out to you, but we're talking back then, right? As you can see in Freeport, businesses that have developed are banks, yes, supermarkets, fast foods restaurants, clothing stores, food stores, rock companies, yes, the oil company, the cruise company, an array of businesses along Queens Highway. A phenomenal amount of business on Queens Highway, in Hawksbill, hotels in Port Lucaya and all along the strip, the Italian hotels and mini resorts and you name it. Freeport is totally developed at ad nauseum, totally developed. And I hope I didn't miss out any other developments. Oh, gambling houses. How can I forget that? Um, they have a lot of conch places on the side of the roads. Yes, I can't forget that. Recreational places, the YMCA with the soccer field. All of these are revenue making businesses that are in Freeport. I mean, there's so many more hair places, supplies, you name it. There's all sorts of different businesses. Market, there's a market. No, I don't think that market there's there anymore. But there's also a fruit vegetable market. There used to be a bazaar. It's not there anymore. There's almost not a Port Lucaya. Not there anymore. But I'm not here to talk about that because a minister is in town and he's going to spur, and I'm using the words that was used when the Hawksbill Creek Agreement was developed, and its purpose to spur an economic growth in Grand Bahama, but basically Freeport. All right? Yeah. This agreement was developed in 1955 with partnership with the government of the Bahamas and Mr. Wallace Grove. Now, please don't ask me when the Grand Bahama Port came in there. They're there, that's the life. You have a original Hawksbill Creek Agreement. You have to forgive me, I really can't read. And you have the GB Port. In Freeport, everybody called the Port Authority the government. I don't know from this agreement how it transpired to be the Grand Bahama Port. I'm sure they're there for a reason, and God bless them. That's all I'm going to say about that. Now let's see some more details what was involved with this agreement. This agreement does not apply to Nassau, Exuma, Eleuthera, Abaco, none of the other islands. It's only for the island of Freeport, the vicinity of Freeport, not in the east and not in the west. Everything is in one lump clunk in Freeport. And so are all the businesses, which brings a disbalance. It's only one island. Everybody should be capitalizing on the free trade agreement that was signed in 1955. So let me tell you back then what was allotted. I don't know how that's transpired today through real estate or whatever, but let's just break it down for you. Mr. Grove, Mr. Wallace Grove, was granted 50,000 acres. 50,000 acres is nothing. They just grant a behemoth 130 the other day, so we ain't gonna worry about that. That was back in 1955, so don't worry about that. The Grand Bahama was created to develop and administer the land. That's, I guess, where the Grand Bahama Port came in. They are developers, right? And developers are responsible in the Freeport Grand Bahama area to make sure that development is up to par. And there also was land administrators. Keep that in mind. Again, back in 1955 and maybe to 1985. Keep those dates in mind, please. The reason I'm telling you these dates. In Freeport, it was a plan and was built from scratch. Now, everybody will agree with me. There's no dispute When you compare our infrastructure in Freeport to any other island in the Bahamas, Grand Bahama is known to have proper infrastructure located in the Freeport vicinity. I'm not talking about West End, and I'm not speaking to East End. But infrastructure had to be built and started at some juncture, so they started plunk in the middle. I assume with the idea of working east or working west, or vice versa, west and east. I'm assuming this. I'm not saying that was the case. So the infrastructure in the Grand Bahama Islands have been completed. We know the canalways, we've seen the roads, we've seen how the plots of land were structured. So you couldn't come and build any kind of way. It is what it is, all right? So they probably did all of this. That's not a problem. They probably did all of that. So from 1955 to 1985 for encouragement, because back then it was just coming up. It's just coming up. So y'all keep this in mind. This was just back then how they did business to incentivize persons coming to do business too and to get business started because there was nothing there. So I can understand how they negotiated in 1955. I get it. But I only want you to see exactly what was negotiated. What was negotiated to encourage investments? The agreement allowed the Grand Bahama Port not to pay taxes on income, capital grants. I'll let you know what capital grants is at the end of this. Real estate and private property until 1985. So hey, there got to be some incentive to come to the Bahamas. Come on, you don't expect the tax-paying people not to get exempt. Come on, let's give a little credit there, okay? We'll leave those negotiation skills for 30 years between 1955 to 1985. We're going to leave that because that's the old way of negotiating. And that was fine because it was developing an undeveloped plot of whole entire island. All right? I hope you understand what I'm saying. Do I need to repeat that? Because I want to make sure you understand clearly. For 30 years, that was the incentive. And the incentive was to allow the Grand Bahama Port not to pay taxes on income, capital gains, and real estate and private property until 1985. So they had 30 years of free, tax-free. And listen, I can remember when that was happening. We had more tourists than we have today. From 1985 to now, the tourist is like skeleton. It's like not the same incentive. But like I said, that's how they negotiated back then. And that was understandable. We get it. But now we're trying to figure out what's happening now. So a provision that was extended by, and I put that in brackets. Now remember now, the Hawksbill Creek Agreement started in 1955. It'll say it over and over. And they had tax exemption for 3 years and then 30 years, sorry. And coming in somewhere in between the tax exemption in 1995 and 1990, couldn't be 2020. Some learned, experienced career politician, because he was a career politician back then, decide to extend the Hawksbill Creek Agreement. Listen, all fire break loose, and let me tell you, they lost that election. I'm not calling any names because everybody know who and which party it was that extended the Hawksbill Creek Agreement. I do not need to call their names. I'm not giving no kudos or thumb downs for that decision. But my question is, why did you extend it, first of all? And why did you extend it for such a long time? What was the deal so sweet that they decided to extend the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement for another 49 years? And that will take us into 2054. And I would be 101. You figure it out. So what was the point? What was the point of having a strong leader back then at that time? He was very strong. He was very, very, very strong. But he did not negotiate anything for us so we could be honest in our country. The Hawkesbury Creek Agreement now is extended. It's almost like halfway up. Some politicians decide it was the best interest of all of us because we couldn't read the fine print because he was so biggity back then. That now the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement is now won't be finished until 2054. You can do the math on how old you were or would be in 2054. I won't be here. I just won't be here. Simple as that. Many of us won't be around by the time this Hawkesbury Creek Agreement is finished. So here are my questions, because I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions by something called the free trade. I mean, were you supposed to get, was the container port was supposed to be a deal for us to get free trading? Like we didn't have to go to the Panama to get better prices? I'm trying to figure out something. Free trade zone. Is that actually something that's actually happening in the port, or have from the first agreement to the second agreement, everything has changed? So what the original intention for the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement doesn't apply? I have questions. I have plenty of questions. If the Grand Bahama Port Authority was to exempt or use an exemption by others for 30 years, not paying taxes, these are the pertinent questions I'd be asking leaders. If they were exempt for taxes for 30 years, how much is this in monetary value? 30 years is as old as my daughter. I'm sorry, daughter. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll just say a family member. Take it back. You're getting tax exemption under the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement, Grand Bahama Port, for 30 years on capital gain, private property, real estate, and you're exempt for 30 years. How much is this in actual dollars? What is the value of 30 years of tax-free? I want to say something, but I'm going to stay on script. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to make a fool of myself. So if they didn't pay on income, they didn't pay on capital gain, they didn't pay on real estate or private property, how did Freeport actually make it? Where was the taxes coming from? Oops, thing. Government taxes through customs and other tax collecting, and that will include VAT, which I just spoke to. This is where the government got its funds from, where the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement was originally supposed to be a free trade zone where you can operate businesses. You don't have to do all this skip, jump, and hop, take out a mortgage on your house so you can go to the States so you can shop. And this 30-year exemption, how was this money used? Please say it was used for the infrastructure way back, because you don't need that now. Please tell us something, because we need to know what's going on with this exemption. Capital gain, that's buying and selling of securities and other assets. So it's more like on the market. So they didn't get any tax payments on this. I gotta take this off for a couple of seconds. Don't you have questions, Bahamians, to know what's going on in your country? Why can't Freeport develop the way it should? Or why aren't we getting tax-free zone for Bahamians that have been burdened now? Forget 1955 and 1985. Forget that the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement was re-signed. That means it was extended. That means it'll be finished in 2054. We only thinking in 2030 right now. Before the election, we were thinking in 2025. That was last year. Who in their right mind will sign an agreement that lasts in 2054? There's a lot to think about, but this is the easiest way I could break this down for you right now. We want to know who signed the agreement. I know who signed it, but I want y'all to go figure it out. Who signed the agreement that lasts in 2054? He may be gone in the next 2 years, or even before. Why would you do something like that, Mr. Ingram? These are experienced politicians, you know. And we need them to make sense in this century, right now. How is this benefiting us in the long run? But the now Prime Minister is talking about coming to Freeport 6 months in so he can force them to see the conversation to talk about how to spur the economy in Grant and Freeport. The Port Authority, that's their job. And you have to ask yourself, between the port and the government, who failed us? What system isn't working for us in 2025-6? Because something isn't working. So we know the Prime Minister who signed that agreement. That's under the F&M. They're going to F&M, once an F&M, always an F&M in the F&M. Once a PLP, always a PLP in the PLP. So how is the Prime Minister of the Bahamas today is going to foster the growth, economic growth? I can tell you how we can do it. I can tell you one thing he's done to try to do it, but when he did it, it all looks political, because what you could have done 2 years ago, and now you're coming to the Bahamian people 6 months into the election, the year of the election, let's put it that way. Now you come into us and say you sign a deal for $660 million. Make it sound so much. Man, if you say $660 billion, I'd be impressed. A little measly $660 million to expand the container port. That's the plan, to spur the economic growth. So what do we need the Port Authority for? This agreement was signed, Hawkesbury Creek Agreement, ain't nothing separate about it. It was signed under the Grand Bahama Port Authority. So what are we doing? Okay, let me tell you what the government of the Bahamas is doing at this present time. We already have the investor, right? They're here. And you're giving them more. I'm not impressed with no amount of employment at this present time, because that container port is fine just the way it is. But hey, they want to use this incentive politically now, and that cannot work. It should not work, because what you just did between both the FNM and PLP, because you got the Hubert Ingram who actually extended the Hawksbill Creek Agreement. Okay, yeah, that one. Then you have the next one come behind him talking about he enrich the economy in Grand Bahama in Freeport by signing a contract for $660 million and saying that it can get 2,000 jobs. Yeah. Really now. So those jobs are guaranteed, will only be for Bahamians, and the Bahamians complaining enough of the bad treatment down there, working there, and many have died. Not saying that that's a problem, because it always happens. But what I'm saying is, why use it right now? And you know you got an election coming up. You spend 4 years traveling, now one come last minute and drop it and pop it. That doesn't appeal to right thinking Bahamians. We desperate, but we ain't that desperate. Do you know that Dr. Minnis did the same thing? Just before he lost the election, he bought his whole entire entourage, his cabinet members, came to Freeport, came to the Christ the King. I was sitting right there. I was sitting right there in the meeting. Oh, he's going to do this and he's going to do that. La 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 blah blah blah. When that election rolled around, people wasn't hearing you. Now you got Davis doing the same trickery. I mean, it even ain't trickery, because it's right in your face. Y'all gonna fall for it. Kin, I can't believe I hear the word kin. I feel like I'm going through like a recyclable nightmare. I was there when they had the groundbreaking again. I was there when they talk about the groundbreaking for assembling phones and a manufacture by the Richies. It ain't happened. It didn't happen. They use it politically, and that's the problem this generation have with that generation. So let's get back to the burning question. If it was created that we can have a free zone, trade zone, do we have it? It's a simple question, and I put it out there so you could tell them I'm talking to them. Yeah, they're making all kind of press release about this and that, and they come to do to help the economy in Freeport, and they're going to have a resilient. What are you gonna do? What, the Africans coming to open the African supermarket because you did the African bank? So where's that? Has that happened? Do we need another supermarket from Africa? No, we don't. Freeport was created for a free trade zone. Is this happening in Freeport, Bahamians? That's the question I'm putting on the table and I'm putting out there in the air. Believe me, they're hearing me. As we can see, the container port is an example version of the container port at hand? Is it the example version of a free trade zone? Is it a free trade zone? Is this the trade-off? We need to know. We need to know the dynamics in which our country is flourishing or not. We don't need grandiose contract deals with whomever. And then what? Is that going to happen instantly? No, you've used it as a political tool to win an election. Those are the old tricks. This is a new dispensation. We want to know what happened to the original act. Yeah, y'all come and y'all have meeting. Mr. Bain has told us on several occasions during his life what the Grand Bahama Port was developed for and what was the government's position. And people will, in governments, both governments will make negotiation, but they'll never refer to us. And then we're left, in Freeport, which isn't free, paying exorbitant food bills, power bills, hospital bills, and the dynamics is not working. It's not working anymore. Whatever the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement was signed for under the first government with Wallace Grove, they got their 30-year exemption and they didn't have to pay any tax on this and that and this and that. That's a done deal. But now when the other government, learned government, who have lots of experience, go and re-sign, leaving you all screaming on the outside when your license fees are phenomenal. And I've seen you all got up in the faces of the Grand Bahama Port. And they made some subsidy, but would that last? The Prime Minister's back here again, talking about how he's going to foster the economy growth. Well, what you going to do? You're going to try every trick in the book. You have made your press releases. If you were going to do anything to foster the growth on the whole entire Grand Bahama, forget Freeport. No, forget it. You would have started on both ends. I recall Mr. Wilshcombe, Obi Wilshcombe, wanted to start a cruise line port in the east. That never happened. We know where he ended up eventually. We all gonna end up there. Now we have the same tricks coming back, saying that they signed this deal. 660 million is no money, okay? I'm telling you all right now. Compared to the tax exemption under the port for 30 years, please, you all wake up. This is not going to wash over well with communities that are desecrated, looking like the dumpsters, when the government come in and make all kind of promises last minute because they want to get back in. That's not going to work this time. The t-shirts are not going to work. The hats are not going to work this time. If both the FNM and PLP are campaigning, I'm advising you right now. It's in your best interest. Don't be knocking on no one door. This is what you're going to do first. You got 6 months. I want you to bring the garbage bags, the dumpsters, the workers. Why is you campaigning? Yeah, this is what you're going to have to do. The dump trucks, move the derelict cars, move the filth on the side of the roads, right? Don't go to nobody's house. Completely move the roads in or 2 Mile Rock, straight from Jonestown, straight to Hepburn Town. You put a new building at the entrance of Queens Highway leading into Bartlett Hill. It's said that that's Ginger Moxie's building. You can cover it under whoever name you want. But the roads, don't come campaigning, please. Don't campaign. Get the dumpsters, get the garbage bag, get all your people wearing your red hats and yellow hats and whatever color you all wear, because you only wearing the color of the flag. Go pick up the garbage. Get the dump trucks to move derelict cars. Go fix the roads at the same time. Don't campaign. That's what COI does, because they've never governed. They campaign. You go clean our country up. Just do the small thing first before the election reach. Talk is cheap. We've been through this charade too many times and we've had enough. So if you want to know how to spur the economy in Freeport, start by taking the bazaar down in entirety. Get rid of it. You're sick and tired of looking at it. I can name all the buildings. downtown, across from the Grand Bahama Port. Don't put for sale on that. Get rid of it. Flatten it. Don't put paste on it to make it look good, or art, graffiti. Get rid of it. Then every last derelict building all along the mall shouldn't have nothing that to remind us of your failure. Get rid of it. Flatten it. Get rid of it. That's how y'all campaign. Not coming, knocking the door and having rallies no more. That ain't working. People don't need alcohol because they're dying quicker these days. They don't need alcohol, they don't need cheap food, and they don't need to hear you talking. You need to stop talking and fix what's broken. And then we'll see during the election. Don't blame us, Bahamians. We will tell you all, don't blame us. All right, that's it. I think I'm going to go and use some cayenne and season up something really pepper, and hopefully that'll open up my nasal. The weather is beautiful. I am elated that my granddaughter went to Nassau, competed, and bought everything back. And the 3 races that she did, under 13 girls sports in Nassau. I'm happy. I'm happy. And my nose might be torturing me. I'm happy. But I put a lot of stuff for Bahamians to think about. Yeah, you need to know the details of what's happening in the Grand Bahama Port. Because if they can exempt 30 years of tax-free, and the man come and say he can take tax off food, you all need to laugh him out of the country. Okay? Laugh him out of the country, and don't stop there. Speak your piece. Because VAT or food don't mean nothing. That's must see VAT or food because they bring in the African supermarkets and they have the African buying sign, so you don't have to have VAT on food. Think. I'm done. That's all I have to say. Y'all do your part. Spread the information, please. This is no time to play. Okay? We have some issues in Grand Bahama, and only, I believe, the people can solve these issues when they come together on the issues. Do not be distracted. If the PLP don't have a garbage bag in their hand when they come to the door, they ain't serious. If they ain't clearing the streets in a phenomenal way, they ain't serious. If they're not reconstructing the road from 8 Mile Rock to from Bartlett Hill to Jonestown, they could take the back road, direct traffic back road. Everybody go to the back road, use that route. They ain't serious. All this talk about this contract, that contract, and this, they can bring this back and they can bring that back. They ain't serious. When they knock on your door, say you have your garbage bag in your hand, because down the road, the garbage is overspilling. It's time for y'all to pick it up now, because we done do our part. All right, everybody, you take care. I am done. Bye-bye.